Well, Scott, first off, thanks for joining us. Obviously, you were with the IronBirds as a pitching coach the first year, back here again in your 10th year, in the IronBirds' 10th year, rather. How are you feeling about the season so far?
Well, it's picking up finally, that's for sure. Started off pretty slow and we're struggling, but that's typical in this league. Usually every year you start off, but then you start gelling, and with the bullpen we're starting to figure out some things out there to keep the games close late in the game, and guys are starting to hit the ball. Valege is eating pretzels, so should be ready for tonight, and it just takes a little time for them to get to know each other and play, and we've had some additions from the pitching staff from some of the new drafts, and so it's turning the corner, and right now the guys are getting a little bit more momentum, and it's a little easier to play that way.
Definitely. Well, you spent the first couple years of the IronBirds' existence, you were the pitching coach. Back the past few years, what are some of your favorite things about Aberdeen?
Well, I think obviously the ballpark itself is tremendous. I was here in '02 the first year that they had it, and the opening day you have the big meeting with all the players and coaches, and Joe Alvarez was the manager, and he said his thing, and Gary Kendall said his thing, and Joe asked me if I wanted to speak, and I said, "You lucky, no good guy." I mean, I played 13 years in the big leagues, never had a locker room like this, never had a fan base like that. Because heck, back then with the Orioles, you'd got 6,500 people, maybe that much at the start of the season. We didn't get fans until the middle of the year back in those days. So I mean, it's a great place, and you get a very good talent. Usually the league, like I said, starts off a little slow, but once the draft picks come in and the guys start playing well together, it's a very, very good league for these guys to start in. So I like the league. I like being close to home, and you can't beat that.
Now, you spent 10 years in the Orioles organization as a pitching coach at different levels. After playing for the Baltimore Orioles for your whole career, how great is it to have been able to stay in this Baltimore area and in this Baltimore organization as a coach?
Well, that's the best part for me. I mean, I talked to some of these other guys that are coaching, and they just shake their heads when I told them this is my 10th year and I've lived at home every year. So it's pretty nice, It's half hour up here from my house, and then to Frederick and Bowie, it's both like 45 minutes. I was split right in the middle of that, and that was nice. Those are two good leagues too. The Carolina League, and then Bowie in the Eastern League. And that when I went up, I started going up with guys like Jimmy Johnson, Adam Lowe, and got to follow them up through the system and carry them up and see them get to the big leagues. That was kind of fun. It's really fun as a pitching coach. It's easier to pitch than it is to be a pitching coach, believe me. There's times I wish I could just take the ball out of their hands and say, here, this is what you do, but you can't. Mm-hmm. So it's very challenging to teach them and get them to figure out what to do.
How rewarding is it for you now seeing Jimmy Johnson doing what he's doing in the big leagues?
Oh, it's great. I love to see him when we had, I'm the pitching coach, but we had Nicky Markakis when we were up in Frederick, and I never really had Brian Roberts, but, the guys, Mattis and all these guys, you work with them and you see them get up to the big leagues. It really is very exciting. But JJ and I and his family are really close. And for those of you who don't know, the years I was out, I was in the ministry, so I'm ordained. So I performed the services and married Jimmy Johnson and Jay Shiner and Mark Shires and a bunch of guys in the organization. So JJ's really a good kid.
Now the Orioles, it seems like the past 4 or 5 years have put a lot of their focus on the draft and bringing in young talent and trying to build up the farm system. What have you thought of the direction the Orioles have been going in?
Well, it's they've been doing the right stuff. That's the only way you can do it anymore. You can't compete. I know we have Masson, and they're making some extra money to put into it, but we still can't compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox. So the only way you're going to possibly do it is build it from within. And we've got it going, and it looked good this year, but now all of a sudden the injuries and the pitching staff are faltering again, and it's very, very frustrating for the organization right now because, with Buck taking over last year, the September they had and the April and May they had, we thought we were on our way, but now all of a sudden, the pitchers are back in AAA, and you've got no feelings towards Atkins and Jakubakis, but those are not the names you were really looking for when you started the season.
Well, as I mentioned, you've been a pitching coach up and down the Orioles organization a bit, in Bowie, the Double-A level, Frederick, the High-A level, but you've spent your most time here with the Aberdeen IronBirds at this short season Class A level. What do you like most about coaching kids at this level?
Well, they're easy to coach, really, because they're hungry. I don't think I'd ever want to do AAA, because that's just a bunch of guys that are upset that they're not in the big leagues. They can't figure out why they're not there, other than the fact that they can't get anybody out. But these guys here are just fresh out of either high school or college, and you can start them in the right direction, tweak a few things, and really start teaching them the game of baseball that they've never really had to play on a day-by-day basis before. So I really like this level. I like the entry level, and you can really get them going in the right direction and shoot them up the line.
Well, the average age of players at this level is 21 years old, if people don't know. And what's the biggest challenge with coaching a 21-year-old guy?
Well, I think one thing about pitching is everybody's different, so, there's certain things that you look for that, you have to, but I think the most difficult thing, I think, is just to get them to start believing and throwing their fastball. Usually, coming out of college, if you watch a college baseball game, it's nothing but fastball, they waste it, and then they throw breaking ball, and you have to turn that around and teach them to start using their fastball, trust in their stuff, throw strikes. But the two big things I always tell them is that at this level, we're going to get your motion consistent and your emotions under control. And that's the biggest thing, because most of these guys, when they're drafted, I was drafted out of high school way back, and I was 51-4 in high school for 4 years with like a .3 ERA, so you never gave up runs, you never got hit. And these guys go out there for the first time and get their rear ends handed to them, and they sit in the corner with their thumb in their mouth. So what happened, So you have to teach them how to lose and to win, and how to get through it, and just be able to go consistently and keep their emotions under control. And I think once they can do that, then they can start moving on.